Hey guys, Parigi here, and in this video we're going to talk about dashboards. Now, as you may know, I've been a UI UX designer for almost 9 years now, and over the past years I noticed some trends and patterns which usually are really useful in order to establish and create a dashboard which actually works pretty well and accomplish the client goals. So the very first thing that I want to discuss is the use of color. Now we're going to go through one of my UI kits, so please disregard the fact that these are not really like clients dashboards, so these are just for aesthetics. But one of the things that you wanted to focus on is the use of color. So keep in mind that, for example, the call to actions should have color in order to drive the emphasis. So as you can see over here, the entire dashboard is pretty minimal for the very most part, and we're only using colors for the elements which we want to stand out. So in particular, the main call to actions, the buttons, and even the progress bars, and all these small elements which are going to be useful for the user. So keep in mind that color can be useful, but it shouldn't be overused. So choose a few set of colors. Don't make a rainbow dashboard unless it's something which is purely needed for the project. So keep it simple, and usually anywhere between 1 and 3 colors are going to be a good solution to start with. Now, another thing to keep in mind is you want to be consistent with the data and the labeling. So if you start using a set of labels, such as in the dates or in any table that you might have in a dashboard, you want to keep the formatting consistent throughout the experience. So this is another thing which you definitely want in order to maintain that consistency, because at the end of the day, dashboards, websites, all of these design projects are essentially like people, and you want to have a level of consistency with your personal brand, if you wish. And this is going to pay out dividends in the form of both brand identity, usability, and essentially making it a better experience for the user. Now, another thing that we wanted to consider is don't try to place all of the informations on a single page. So for example, one of these the most common tendency which I noticed, especially when it comes to discussing dashboards designs with CEOs, and especially when discussing homepage or the main dashboard designs with the CEOs, is that in their main home they want to include pretty much everything and each and every information that they can about the company, because they think that having everything in one view is going to be useful for the user. And in some cases it is, don't get me wrong, there's definitely cases for that, but usually you want to keep things simple, because the more elements you're going to add in a single dashboard screen, the less focus the user is going to have on each and every individual one. So you want to make the experience as you don't want to add clutter in the experience, and you just want to make it straightforward and almost create this pyramid, which is a concept which I know that you're familiar with if you've been following my YouTube channel for a while. And that is essentially to create a pyramid of hierarchy of needs. So essentially what I'm referring to here is what are the most pressing matters at any given moment when it comes to the things that you want to communicate within a dashboard, or the objectives that you want the user to accomplish. So what is the most important thing, what is the secondary thing in order of importance, and so on and so forth, all the way to the things which are nice to have in the dashboard but are not really pressing matters for the user. So you want to think in those terms for sure, since this is going to help you to essentially identify both what is really needed and what you need to basically make stand out right away in the dashboard, and also what is less important. And you can identify also if these less important elements might benefit to be integrated in the same dashboard or in other set of screens, because this actually brings us to the next point, which is you don't necessarily need to add everything in a single page. You can totally divide the experience up into different pages, which can be rearranged and reached through via menus, or all sorts of different flows that you can create around it. So definitely keep that in mind, and also focus on the client's KPIs, because that's super important. That should be the focus at all times, pretty much. What is the client looking to achieve with this dashboard design project? What are the client goals? What are the pain points? And especially you want to learn about the user, because ultimately it's not the client that's going to use the app, but it's going to be the users. So you want to have a clear understanding both on the goals on the client side, the pain points that they identified, and also we want to learn about the user. You want to learn about what the average user looks like, what are they looking for, what are their current pain points, what is that they want to achieve if they had a magic wand and they opened up the app. So that is something which is really important, and ultimately you want it to ideally optimize for multiple devices. Now, needless to say, responsive is such a huge part in these days, and I understand that when it comes to dashboard design, it's not as straightforward as website design. There's many other implications that come, and especially if you're working on a lot of iterative updates on the dashboard, it might be more tricky to stay on top of the mobile responsive part of it, but it's definitely something which is possible, and you can definitely consider doing that. So it really depends on a case-by-case scenario. You have to discuss it with the client, how to bring up this topic, especially when it comes to tablet and mobile devices. So it's really a case-by-case scenario. But yeah, hope this video was helpful. I want to remind you that I recently launched a free course on how to get started in UI UX design. So feel free to check it out if you're interested in this topic, and I'll see you in the next video.